Recording? Hello, my name is Richard Anderson. This is going to be a video on dramatism, and the person introducing me is going to be Douglas. He's off camera.
Why did you choose Burke?
Well, the reason why I picked Burke, because he was considered the most abstract of communication theorists. I enjoyed his methodology and his conceptual thinking when applied to human behavioral studies. He saw that life was not a drama, but, this is the part that I really liked, life is drama. Very distinction there. About him, alright, Kenneth Burke was born May 5th, 1897 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He attended Ohio State University in 1916 and Columbia University in 1917. Burke taught academic assignments at the New School of Social Research in 1937 and the University of Chicago in 1938, 1949, and 1950. In 1943, Burke began his long association with Bennington College, Vermont, where he taught literary theory and criticism. Burke wrote novels, poems, short stories, translation, music reviews, social commentaries. This guy really did a lot. I mean, amazing. He's most widely known, though, for his philosophy of language, where theories of language have influenced contemporary thought, particularly in the areas of rhetoric, literary theory, communication, and cultural studies. So, what we're going to do now is talk about dramatism.
What theory did you choose?
I chose dramatism. The reason why, because dramatism theory was developed by Kenneth Burke, and I have such a hard time saying that word, in the 1940s as a way to analyze human relationships through interpretive studies. It is a theory that compares life to a drama. This provides a direct route for human motivation to human relationships. It is a strategy that is intended to help others view life, not live it. The sound of a city garden, and be able to compare each social unit or activity as one of the 5 elements of drama. It is a study of how a person uses a certain behavior and emotional skill to sway arguments. Alright, right now what we're going to talk about is the pentad. Burke used the dramatic pentad to try to understand people's movements and their intentions. Strategies for viewing not life, not as life itself, but by comparing each social unit involved in human activities as 5 elements of drama: act, agent, agency, and purpose, to answer the empirical questions of how a person explains their actions and to find the ultimate motivations of human activities.
Tell me more about the dramatistic pentad.
Yeah, see, he has a problem saying it too, so I'm not the only one here. Okay, there will be a slide included in the presentation that you can look at, and it's a little bit more of a description. The dramatistic pentad. Burke's pentad was set up in which 5 questions to ask discourse to begin teasing out the motive. You may recognize these questions as similar to the 6 news reporter questions used: what, who, when, where, why, and how. So first, let's talk about act. Act. What happened? What is action? What is going on? What action? What thoughts? Scene. Where is the act happening? What is the background situation? Agent. Who is involved in the actions? What are their roles? There be one or many. Agency. How do the agents act? By what means do they act? We're going to be having a good lesson in this in a minute. Purpose. Why do agents act, and what do they want? Motivation. On dramatism, Burke said, if action, then drama; if drama, then conflict; if conflict, then victimage. Okay, here's the slide. So let's take a moment and look at this, and I'll read just a quick synopsis. Agent. The agent is a person or people who perform the act. Some message are filled with references to self, mind, spirit, and personal responsibility. This focus on character in the agent as instigator is consistent with philosophical idealism. Act. A critic's label for an act that illustrates what was done. A speech that features dramatic verb demonstrates a commitment to realism. Agency. Agency is the means that the agents use to do the deed, a long description of methods or techniques to reflect a get-the-job-done approach that springs from the speaker's mindset of pragmatism. Purpose. Boy, that's a lot of stuff to say. The speaker's purpose is stated implied goal or of the address. To the extent of discussion, the purpose within the message shows a strong desire on the part of the speaker for unity or the ultimate meaning in life, which are common concerns of mysticism. Lastly, scene. Like right now, we're seeing a car seen by. Scene. The description of a scene gives a context for where and when the act was performed. Public speaking that emphasizes setting and circumstances, downplays free will, and reflects an attitude or situation of determinalism.
Okay, can you act out an example of what you explained?
Why, yes we can. So, what's going to happen is I'm going to explain this, and then I'm going to do a short video of the whole thing that was just explained. So first, the act, as a narrator, is explaining statements. I'll make 3 statements. And the second participant, which will be Douglas, he's offhand. You'll only see his hand, you won't see his face, because we're going to be using symbolism on this, and he's going to be using symbolic hand gestures to convey his message. Scene. The scene takes place in my garden that's behind us, and there's a number of fountains that we'll use. We'll use 2 fountains in the garden to explain this, and we'll look at the relaxing scenes. I'll explain, interact with them, and the other participant will provide additional input. Agent. Well, Douglas's role is to point at the various objects and use bit signals, the yes and no, the 0 and 1 binary bit thinking. To the statement in making, I'm going to use symbols for the first part until I send more material from our course, listed below. Richard, I am the narrator. Agency, he acts as a guide, pointing out the various descriptions, providing a helpful understanding of the speaker's statements. Purpose, to describe a relaxing nature of the garden and fountain design, something simple but enjoyable. It allows me to connect words to symbols to scenes. Placement. First fountain framed by 2 hands. So let us begin this video. So let's hit the... Alright, now we're going to act out a scene with the 5 elements and try to figure them out. We're going to use language and we're going to use symbols. So first we're going to do the scene. Wow. Right? That's cooperation. Douglas is going to be using symbolism while I use speech. So first off, Douglas, what do you think of this lovely rock fountain here? Good. Alright, well, let's look at this other fountain over here. Do you think this fountain's better than that fountain? Yeah, I would agree. Okay. Well, let's look at this garden, Douglas. I don't know. I think that this garden is large enough. What do you think? Yeah, see, that's conflict. So what happens is we used hand drama there in language drama. So I wanted to try to mix it up and see if people could figure out, like, separating symbols from language. Now, that was the 5 different things from his pentagram. In each one of them, if you need to figure them out, like, you can ask me in mail or something like that. But that was that. Have a nice... Yeah. Okay, so hit start.
Already did.
Okay, I can actually edit that part out, which is nice. Okay, so some additional terms, just to give us a little bit more to work with. So, identification, one of the things that Kenneth Burke had talked about is to recognize the common ground between speaker and audience, such as physical characteristics, talent, occupation, experience, personality, beliefs, attitude, and consubstantiation. Say that 5 times, I certainly can't. How I told the story was using a method of inside theories concept. You can find it on page 300. It's where it talks about the on and off, yes and no. We actually put a 3rd one in there, and then we threw some other things in there. But it was a symbology of that we associate yes, because we all know Facebook and social media, that thumbs up and then the thumbs down, and that's why I'd actually put that in there for a little bit extra communication. Okay, relational dialects, a dynamic knot of contradiction, interpersonal relationships, and an unceasing interplay between contrary or opposing tendencies. That's located on page 154. Using the symbols in the story to represent a simple message without written language to show a form of emotion. So in the end, when the thumbs were fighting, you can imagine that was emotion, but you don't see the people's faces, but you know it's conflict. All right, so the next one is going to be criticism.
What criticisms are there of Burke?
Well, because Burke was so unorthodox, I thought the best critic to use was the man himself. Introspect is a gift, and he seemed to have a good ability to judge his own weakness. Sills wrote in the Encyclopedia of Social Science a method of analysis and corresponding critique of terminology designed to show that the most direct route to study of the human relations and human motives is via a methodological inquiry into cycle or clusters of terms in their functions. Burke regards dramatism as an agency, allowing an act with the purpose of being. Although the rhetoric is action, dramatism is an agency enabling a critique of the rhetorical action. How's that for critical? Because I use critique. Overall criticism would be the reliance of the message having too much weight on the individual. The individual can motivate a crowd with emotions and fervor, but it's not something that can be replicated for the masses. We see this in politics nowadays, where you have nationalism. You see people getting all fired up. That you can't take that and give that to every single person. That's an individual skill set that people develop. All right, so in closing, that was my take on Burke's view of that particular theory, and you have a good day.